Hello guys, and welcome back to War in the Pacific with our Allied playthrough. The last day's replay was pretty exciting with a lot of submarine action. In fact, more naval action than probably all the other turns combined, especially in terms of ships sunk. So let's look at that first. Sort by sunk date, you can see it was a pretty back and forth turn. Overall, in what we can confirm mostly until, the intelligence catches up, we can see we probably lost more overall just around the entire Pacific theater. Now, what they lost was this little PB. I don't know what this is. Oh, I guess a patrol boat. It's their patrol boat. It's very, very tiny. It was only worth 1 victory point. It says it was sunk by a Mark 14 torpedo. I find that hard to believe because I didn't see any Mark 14 torpedoes shot at it. I did see some deck guns shot at it. So I think it was actually just shot to death by a deck gun. But maybe someone's lying to me. I don't know. This will update with the truth at a later date. What date? I don't know. The game literally just picks a future date in which it will give you the truth for all intelligence. After that, you can see we got a cargo ship for 10 victory points. The victory points honestly matters less when sinking Japanese cargo ships or tankers because Japan has a limited supply of these things and they don't really get a lot more. Every one that we can sink's a big deal. Same with the troop transports here. 18 victory points, but the big deal is that we sank one. Now, after that, we lost quite a few things. An AVD, the Childs, which was headed to Singapore, I believe. Shame, it ran into an invasion force. Nothing I could have done to save it. Probably should have sent it around the other way, but really, I didn't process in my brain that it had a chance of running into an invasion force. I thought at worst maybe a submarine, so I thought it being an AVD was perfect. Should have sent it around Borneo with the AVPs like I did. We lost a submarine, unfortunately, but for all of our sub actions, losing only 1 submarine is probably a better result. I had a lot of really aggressive submarine moves going on, and this taught me to change my submarine tactics a little bit. I'm not doing as many aggressive, like go into the port and try to kill some shit things, which were, by the way, very common in World War II. This was a common thing, and that's how this sank, because it was patrolling in and around a port. Now, it's only an S-boat, thank God, which is an older U.S. submarine. It can't go as far, its torpedoes aren't as powerful, and realistically, its usefulness is not as high, its victory point value is lower. We could have lost something so much worse. Now, to the south of that, I can actually show you in a minute. I'll just show you right now. To the south of that, somewhere around right here, one of our big-ass convoys of things fleeing the Philippines lost a tanker. Now, this is really unfortunate. When I saw it, I thought we were sinking a Japanese tanker. Oh, man, my whole world fell apart when I realized it was one of ours. Not the biggest tanker. This doesn't have the biggest capacity, not the biggest range, but this was a very useful tanker. I won't try to underplay it. We lost a pretty good tanker, and that is sad. It's the most valuable thing we have lost ship-wise this entire campaign, but 15 victory points is still just 15 victory points. Losing a tanker, or any ship for that matter, as the Allies, is not the most devastating blow because the Allies' naval power is overwhelming the longer this game goes on. Japan is doing pretty well at the beginning with their naval power, but because they don't have the same resources, they can't expand it much. They're at war with several nations that are many times larger than their own, with a far higher industrial base. Doesn't affect us as much as it would affect them. Same over here, 3 cargo ships, one of them light. Well, can't underplay it. They're cargo ships, we lost them, sad, but as the Allies, you really have more cargo ships than you know what to do with. And you get more than you know what to do with. We have more right now than I could ever figure out a purpose for. And as the war goes on, we're only going to get more. So they could sink, quite frankly, 100 of these, and my cargo ship supply would still be fine. I was kind of upset to lose them, though. They were not part of the force that I had going into Rangoon to resupply it. It was part of a separate force here that was just heading north to Calcutta to be used. I don't know where I pulled them out of, either Rangoon or down by Singapore, but they're heading up to Calcutta. They got a couple of them. They got most of the bigger ones. There's still 3 light cargo ships and a bigger one. I split them up because the bigger one's a little faster, and now that I know they may be at risk, I decided to do that. The other force here, the resupply force, is still going to go into Rangoon. I went ahead and I moved one group of the Flying Tigers right into Rangoon, despite not having exactly the correct amount of aviation support. And they're going to start flying cap, and no longer just over Rangoon. We're flying cap in a 5 hex range, which is where the attack happened actually, 4 or 5 hexes away. And I'm hoping that if any more enemy Bettys or Nells, whatever did, I believe those were Nells, come in and try to torpedo bomb any ships coming in and out, we may be able to catch them. Over here in Cape Town, I did switch up what I was doing from last turn. I got 3 cargo ships picking up these AA units, and as of right now, I'm going to send them to Colombo where they can meet up with some corvettes to escort them somewhere, maybe get some more fuel. And I'm thinking of sending all of them to Rangoon, maybe like one of them to Port Blair, because I am getting troops into Port Blair. Fingers crossed, by the way, because the brigade that I'm sending into Port Blair is... Oh, wait, no, this isn't it. This is supplies. Supplies are getting to Port Blair. There's a brigade somewhere that I'm sending to Port Blair. Maybe. Still, we'll have to figure it out. I did find an Indian brigade over here in like some massive stack of ships. I don't know how it got in there, but it wasn't going anywhere. I think I initially had it set for Rangoon. I don't know how it got merged with all these things. It almost feels like the AI merged some task forces without my permission, but I don't know if that's even possible. All I know is I don't remember what would have made the giant task force I saw with the ships inside of it. But I do have another brigade now going to Rangoon. I do have an engineer force from over here, a base force going to Akyab, just in case we need it. The Chittagong Fortress has enough engineers and aviation support for my liking. Since we don't have any real purpose right now for all these DC-2 transports here, unfortunately, like I have nothing I can do with them. I can send them to Rangoon and maybe try to, do something with Port Blair, but there's not enough aviation support in Rangoon. I've gone over my aviation support just to get the Flying Tigers in here. And now I have more engineers on the way, including the AVG ground echelon from the China task force that was watching over the entire Flying Tiger group. But until they get there, I won't really be able to see what I can have. Now, just to point out, Singapore and Palembang are definitely going to be fine on aviation support. Singapore is basically fine right now. Palembang will be fine too. Manila is fine. So, just to update you on that. But as for these transports, I don't know. There's nowhere I could move them where they could realistically fill a purpose. Down here is just a little too far. It would take several days, several pit stops. And there's nothing down here I need air supplies or air transport for. So I'm going to do the only thing I really can do now that they're, all serviceable, all up to strength. I'm going to start some supply transports from India, namely from Chittagong to Mandalay, which is in the normal radius. Now, I know with transports, you can go up to the maximum range, I believe, or half of it. I believe the maximum range, because you can fly with, extended... I don't know. You could just fill up more stuff for whatever reason. I'm putting 50% of them to rest. I believe that's a way to basically say, hey, don't use the entire group on transporting stuff, please. Thank you. I believe that's how this works. So I put 50% of them to rest. The other 50% are going to be flying supplies from India, specifically Chittagong, over to Mandalay. Now, we don't have a lot of supplies here to begin with. I did set it so that, it's one tick up, so we don't get too low. I might want to do one more. I'm doing this in a couple places, including Darwin and some other place around Chartertown, Townsville in Australia, because they're starting to run low on supplies. I want to slowly start increasing this to see where I can put them to make sure I always have a good amount. But we do have some supplies here nonetheless, and any supplies that land in Mandalay can either go east into China or southwest into Rangoon, wherever it's needed, really. I imagine it would be more needed in China, rather than trying to send it all the way to China, because the further we go, I believe, we will run into more ops losses and more issues like that, more fatigue. I don't want to have more ops losses. I'd rather be more inefficient with supplies, because once I start pumping fuel into India, and there is fuel on its way, as a reminder, then... Oh, in fact, we can see some of it right here. It's off map, arrival on map in 1 day and 3 days. The 1 day group, I believe, yes, is going to Karachi. 2 tankers, full of fuel, decent amount here. They'll transport that and then probably go back to Abadan and do it again. In fact, I have your home port set to Karachi. Let's set it back to Abadan, actually. Because I want you to return afterwards. Retirement allowed. No. Well, yeah, you can auto-disband. You guys are just going to keep going where you're going. Because I want to be able to redo that. I don't think we have any more tankers here. No, not at the moment. I thought we might have more incoming, but maybe not. You know, we need more tankers over here. That would be pretty handy. I'm sure we'll get some eventually. I know we have nothing really important coming anytime soon. I have tankers over here that are going to be transiting to and from Cape Town and Colombo as well. The only reason any of the tankers up here are going down to Colombo is because I'm also sending a cruiser and a PG, a patrol gunboat, down to Colombo. So I figured I might as well send a tanker with some fuel in it. Even though, you know, Colombo doesn't necessarily need much fuel. I'd rather get it overstocked sooner rather than later. And yeah, a lot of stuff happening over here, really. I've been getting my troops set up in like fortresses, but I'm going to start spreading them out a little bit. Pretty much to have one in every base, except maybe these. I don't have anything on the way there yet. I could, but not yet. It doesn't matter too much. I just want to make sure everything has like, you know, a little bit of a defense at it. So, you know, Magwi, because this has all of our fuel and oil. And I believe oil and fuel in Burma is pretty self-sufficient. I have someone going up here to Shwibo. No one's going up here, I believe. I have someone going here to Mekitila. I don't think I have anyone going to Prome. Because the AI, the Japanese, do have paratroopers, and I wouldn't like to get hit by surprise. Other than that, let's take a look in China. Now, not a lot changing in China here, but some stuff. We got pushed out of Xinjiang with the one group we had there. They were pretty powerful, and they went on the offensive to keep us out. So I changed what we're doing. Every unit here, and this is where that unit ran, by the way, is just going to sit tight for now. These units are in combat mode, but they are still moving in the right direction. Same with this unit here, and this is intentional. I'm intentionally slowing them down. They're not on a road, so yeah, they're not on a road, and there's no road coming out from this hex. So they're going to move pretty slowly, and that's intentional. While all these other units start meeting up here, and these dudes take some time to rest and relax. Because I want to enter there with force if possible, and I will even reset this movement if I need to. But they do have 5 units there apparently, and 1 unit incoming. They have an amount of troops we can't see. I am taking this whole fucking force here, the whole 26th Group Army, and we are also heading down now to Hankow. By the time we're out of here, I believe that the 33rd Group Army will have arrived, and they will garrison this location. The 20th Group Army is not in position yet to move on Wuchang, but I figure, you know, if we're not ready to march into Hankow, I will stop 1 hex short, just to kind of scare them. 1 Japanese division did march into Chengshao last turn and really started fucking with us. Like, we don't have a lot of good stuff here, and it hurt us. We had a pretty even fight, pretty even losses, but even is really more than I'd like to lose up here. But if we can't hold it, you know, we can't hold it. What am I going to do? I'm still building up forts here, hoping that we can get it up to 2 before we suffer any major losses. Otherwise, I do have a unit headed out to Kaoping to try to snatch it from them. Otherwise, units are still just regrouping. This unit here is still trying to get away. It's in combat mode because it's being repeatedly attacked by these 2 units here. Not much I can do to stop that. I do have a deliberate attack by the 81st Chinese Corps here. We're going to capture Pao Tao and hunker down. Hopefully take it and hold it. If possible, it's just a dot hex. There's really nothing here, but I mean, I'd rather take it and hold it in this, because it's in a pretty good choke point, quite frankly, than anything else. We can't go on the offensive here, certainly. Some of my cargo ships have finally arrived in Tarakan. I have one of them now headed off to Cagayan. The other, where did I decide to send it? Oh, Puerto Princesa, because that needs supplies, and it is getting us some valuable recon. Manila has enough supplies for now. There's another cargo ship in here that's just going to repair for a day or 2, and then I'm going to send it out to Manila. For the record, any of these light cargo ships that I'm doing this with, I pretty much consider to be dead. They're worth like 1 victory point each, maybe 2. I believe I'm only doing this with the 1s, but I pretty much consider them dead. You know, one of those cargo ships we lost before, one of them was worth 7. We lost them over here. One of them was worth 7, the other worth 12. You can see how little 1 and 2 are worth in the grand scheme of things, especially when you look at exactly how much victory points each of us has. It's not worth a lot, and we'll get many, many more of them. I consider them dead. I consider these to be suicide runs. I'm just trying to get supplies into the Philippines so that we can hold out longer, because if we can do that, then we can maybe slow the AI down. That's my hope. There are more on their way to Balikpapan, but they're not quite there yet, so we're going to have to wait on those to pop up. Hey, one of our troops has arrived. Let me get him into combat mode. There's been a lot of troops arriving elsewhere in, I believe, Singapore. Yes, in Singapore, there was the arrival of, well, actually a battalion of Indian units here, which I combined into the 12th Indian Brigade here. This was made of 3 smaller battalions, and I combined it into the 12th Indian Brigade here. So it's a lot more powerful now. 87 assault strength. The earlier parts of it had 32, 27, and 28 respectively. And this is still part of a bigger force. As you can see, as part of the 9th Indian Division, we are trying to get these things down here to form it. Although most of what we're missing is just, trying to get away, running south. And the retreat is still going. Still can't get the rest of these Blenheim IFs out of here. They're just maintenance or damaged, and there's nothing I can do to help them right now. I'm not going to disband them because that's just death anyway. So rather than, get them killed, I'm going to change this dude's patrol route here. He doesn't need to have such a wide patrol route. Because I have a max react of 1, which means I can react to things in further hexes. I'm just going to change that like that, so he uses less fuel while running around, maybe. And there you go. That's a little more optimized. I've been trying to optimize my sub-routes. We got 2 more AVPs arriving in Singapore, who, quite frankly, we don't need in Singapore, but on the off chance we do, I'll let them go there. They're AVPs, they're not worth a lot. I have a lot of ships in this game right now that I can convert to AVPs, should I want to. They're spread around like little AMs. I think the AM Penguin, which is currently running for dear life from Guam, I think. I don't know where it is anymore even. Oh, is this it? There it is. It's running for dear life. Actually, yeah, has the ability to convert into an AVP. Thing is, AVPs are not that useful. Sure, if you need more aviation support, they could be useful, but there's only a few places where aviation support is even a problem for me. And in a turn or two, the only place where that will be true is Rangoon. Give it maybe 2 more turns, these engineers get down there, and we're fixed. We don't even need AVPs at that point. In China, we could certainly use more air support, but, AVPs can't help you inland. Only engineers can. And then, maybe there could be some value by, put AVPs in a port, put engineers elsewhere. Yeah, maybe. But all the ones that I can convert, quite frankly, they're just not in a good position. Like, they're far away from where I need them. All these ships over here that have no purpose, like Soar Baja has a whole bunch of these AMCs, AGs, AGPs. I don't need these. These are fucking pointless. I can't do anything with these. Let me refuel everything just in case. Look how many AMCs are here. There's no purpose to these. They just have machine guns on them. They can't get anywhere, and even if they could, they would serve no purpose. There are some destroyers here at Soar Baja that I'm not quite sure what to do with, and a light cruiser. These are all Dutch, and I have retreated some Dutch things out of here, but I thought, maybe these may be useful at some point. At the very least, the destroyers don't have a lot of range, so there's no purpose to really running them away, except to maybe escort this light cruiser. Oh, here's one. A patrol... What are you? A patrol craft that can convert into an AVP or an AGP. Yeah, we can see this AVP would provide 6 seaplane support, so if I really wanted to, I could convert this, but I guess I can. It doesn't have any other upgrades to make it better. It doesn't even have anti-submarine capabilities, so I guess I'll go ahead and I'll convert this into an AVP. And now, it's going to take 21 fucking days to do this. And it doesn't look like Pierside or Shipyard's going to make us change. It's not going to make a difference. So we'll let that convert, and maybe we'll have some use for it afterwards. But as a patrol craft with no anti-submarine, it doesn't really serve me at all. It doesn't have any purpose that I could benefit from. All my cruiser mine layers right now are pretty much just standing down because they ran out of mines. We don't have any more mines. I already used all my mines, apparently, and we're not producing enough to do anything. Like, we can get 1, 2 mines, but not a full payload of mines to do anything with. Over here at Pearl Harbor, I put together a little tanker task force, 1 destroyer, 1 tanker, not a crazy payload. I'm going to bring some fuel out to Johnston Island. I'll let them avoid threats as they see fit. There's not enough fuel or supply here. We have supplies headed there, now we might as well send some fuel there. There are some submarines still idling around, but such a small task force, I feel like can risk getting through at this point. I have all sorts of stuff. The carriers are going to try to just burst into Pearl Harbor and land, not land I guess, but port, anchor up from the 2 task forces that were around Pearl Harbor. The other coming from San Francisco, or San Diego actually, is still on its way, but it's closing the distance rapidly. Hopefully they all get there unscathed. Fingers crossed. At the very least, I don't think a single submarine has much a chance of sinking any of these. Maybe doing some damage, but not sinking, just as we didn't really have a chance of sinking anything in the Kido Butai, which, by the way, is still on a slow westward march with some submarines trailing after it. You can see it's on its way. Fingers crossed that the one we did get a torp into is racking up some damage. I can hope, anyway. I'm going to try to keep following them and figuring out where they're going to go into port, because wherever they go into port, they might stay for a little bit, and these submarines may be able to do some damage. At least that's the hope. Over in San Francisco, not a lot to report, but I did go ahead and set up some more task forces, some tanker task forces, to but work in tandem with these, this singular. I have some cargo transports also going through. Where are you going? You're going to Anchorage. I think I just set this up. I have others going to, like, Kodiak or Dutch Habor or Adak. I don't think any are actually going to Kodiak, but I'm sending tankers to Adak and Dutch Habor as well. No escorts because, quite frankly, I don't think we need them out here. I'd be surprised if we ran into any submarines out here. But fingers crossed that we don't, of course, because if we do, that's not going to be very fun. This transport is about to arrive in Kodiak. Remain on station, okay. Because they're going to load up, as part of this combat engineer group, which I'm going to transport and maybe try to reassign. Has to withdraw in 902 days, but that's a few years, so I think we can get some use out of it. Otherwise, I just haven't done much. I'm moving some troops around. Troops are arriving in locations, but nothing really worth discussing. So with that done, let's end the orders phase. Once again, cross our fingers. This game has me saying that a whole lot now. I don't say that in any other series. And hope that this goes well. Hope we don't lose more than they do, but of course if we do, no big deal. We're supposed to lose more than they do at this point. We are the Allies. We are taken by surprise. We're supposed to be getting our butts kicked for the first 6 months of this war. So of course some troops trying to unload on Wake Island. Coastal defense guns are doing pretty well, quite frankly. Getting some hits in, which is nice. 6 hits on an AMC, that's a merchant transport, a repurposed merchant transport ship. Heavy fires, heavy damage. Hopefully that sinks. No sinking sound, but it may still sink with that many hits in it. More troops trying to unload at Guam. No hits in defense. Dutch sub around Singora was sighted by escort. This is one of the ones we were very aggressive with, and it did a damn good job. I changed its patrol path a little bit to try to get it out of harm's way while still giving it a chance to hit some enemy ships. Being found again. Oh, they hit it 5 times. That's a yikes. Well, let's hope it does well. Like I said, I did change its patrol path to try to keep it out of harm's way for a good chunk of the day. Let's hope it works. I wouldn't like to lose another sub, albeit a Dutch sub is not that big of a deal. Another invasion action at Guam. God, they must be unloading a fuck ton of troops. Oh. Some unloading at Wake Island again. Accidentally skipped through it. The Sturgeon just got a torpedo into the AK. Tyan Maru, another torpedo. Wow, dude, nice. I don't think he's even on patrol here. I think he was headed somewhere else. And he got 2 torpedo hits on an AK. Heavy fire, heavy damage. Okay, on fire and heavy damage, not heavy fire. But 2 torpedoes can be a damn well enough to sink an AK. Oh, we can hear it sinking. And the Seawolf getting some hits on the Argon Maru. I saw... Oh, man. This is too good. We're getting some good revenge here for that last turn. You're hitting it even more? Oh, this thing's going down. We totally just sank 2 cargo ships. 4 torpedo hits? There's no way that's living. I'm happy. This is so far good revenge for the last turn. That you can hear that one sinking too. Hit but no explosion from the Sea Raven on a enemy cruiser mine layer, who apparently has anti-submarine capabilities. I'm happy. We just got 2 cargo ships. Japan doesn't have a lot of cargo ships, doesn't have a lot of tankers. It doesn't have a lot of this stuff, so anything we can sink is a blessing. Not for the victory points, but because we're going to reduce their capability to keep anything they have in supply. So many sightings, of course, from our PBY Catalinas. An enemy destroyer is reported hit? Apparently, one of our Catalinas hit a destroyer. I don't know if I believe that. It sounds like one of our planes are getting shot down. 39 Nels bombing Wake Island. Nothing we can do. 1 apparently damaged by flak. A Wildcat destroyed on the ground. Those Wildcats are all dead. Anyway. They are bombing Rangoon with some Nels. Some of my Buffaloes and H-81s are here trying to intercept. So they did decide to go for Rangoon. They skipped a day. Did you notice that? They didn't do this last turn, but they went back to it today. We're getting some good hits, some good destroyed planes by the looks of it. Our Buffaloes are having mechanical problems. They're having guns jamming. God, my God, the Buffalo's just not a good plane, is it? Hopefully our H-81s can get some better results, but not a lot of them are actually up right now. Oh, they're not going into bomb. They're trying to torpedo. Oh, man. Our ASW group here of HDMLs. Good thing is HDMLs are not worth a lot. So if we lose them, so be it. Right? We lured out some enemy Nels. We maybe shot some down. Losing these HDMLs is not important. Because you know what? If Rangoon falls, these HDMLs were lost anyway. So if we lose any, which it sounds like we did. Yes, we lost 1. They got a torp hit. That's fine by me. I don't think they're worth a lot of points. And if we really destroy 2 Nels, and if these damaged ones are maybe lost by ops losses, then that's fine by me. Oh, one thing I forgot to look over when we were going over the turn were the air losses for the day, for the previous turn. I would just like to clarify that it wasn't very interesting. We shot down some bombers. The only thing of note was that it said that 15 enemy, I think Nels or Bettys, were lost on the ground. And we saw something like this the prior turn. I don't know how that works because I haven't bombed anything. So it may just be the AI being retarded. I think the only thing that could cause that is if the AI is disbanding groups on the ground in locations where they can't afford to be disbanded. That's the only thing I can think of. If you know why that might happen, let me know in the comments. But yeah, that's the most notable thing. The most of any plane lost last turn was 15 enemy bombers lost on the ground, which is good for us. Whether, you know, we didn't do it, but we get the victory points from it. Enemy bombers coming in on Chongqing. What? Okay, this is a problem. I didn't know they could reach Chongqing. Ooh, 2 of our bombers over here are damaged. See, I didn't leave any fighters here either. More approaching. How do you just know when to strike when I leave something unguarded, you know? How did you know? We have to get some fighters back over there to Chongqing then. Because Chongqing is something we want to keep guarded from enemy air more than anything. I didn't know that they could get bombers all the way out there. They must be working on extended ranges, you know? So like half payloads, because I don't see how they could get out there. That's such a far ways away. Lots of bombings and bases I can't do anything about. No real results for either side. Bombings over Hong Kong. Yep. Hang on, let me just make a note to myself on my little side monitor here to put fighters back up in Chongqing. It doesn't even need to be flying tigers. It could be the Chinese fighters. Just, it has to be something. I have to get something back over there as a fighter, because apparently they can reach it, and that is the last place we want to give them free access to bombing. You know, I was just describing this to my friend. Fighting the AI in this game, from what I can tell so far, is like trying to keep insects out of your home. You know, you find a hole in the wall where they're getting in from, and you put a board over it, and then they find a hole in the board, so you patch up that board, and now they go around and find somewhere else you didn't know about in your house that they could get in. It's a pain in the ass, but the entrance they're taking is only going to work once. You know, once I see you can do something, I'm going to stop you from doing it. So they better take damn good advantage of what they're taking advantage of. Freezing up because I alt-tabbed during a replay, but it's fine. No crash. They have a lot of aircraft flying over us, probably recon. Aircraft landing. Let's skip through some of this. It's just some more recon. And Georgetown's being bombed again. Oh well. When Cow's being bombed by 6 Nells, nothing we can do about it. Same with Hong Kong, but with Lilies. 1 non-combatant squad disabled, unfortunate. 20 more Lilies. No effect. More Lilies, oh my god. On the ground, another non-combatant squad disabled, that's it. Now they're coming over Rangoon again, but we have some more H-81s in the sky. These are Lilies. It's probably more of a land bombing, I'd imagine. These are twin-engine aircraft, so I believe they're heavy bombers. So any one of these we shoot down, I believe, is 2 victory points. There may be twin-engine bombers that are medium as well, I don't know. We shot 1 down by the looks of it. At least one of the gunners is telling us he shot 1 down. Critical hit, destroyed, so 2 of them. We turned around the entire raid. Apparently we destroyed 2 of them. That adds up with what the gunners told us. So that's good. That's 2 or 4 victory points right there. 2 more planes that they can't use. Maybe they'll learn to stop flying shit over this location. Anne's bombing some of our squads south of Rangoon. 1 combat squad disabled. Super sad face. Even more. That's a much bigger bombing raid, but that was on the airfield, I think. Whatever it was, it didn't hit anything. Uh-oh. Okay, they're coming after one of our task forces here. This is probably our resupply task force here. With some Sallies. We only have 1 H-81 that was able to intercept. Shot down one of the Sallies, but here they go. Oh man, I hope they don't... Well, okay, they're light cargo ships. Even if they do sink, we're losing like 2 victory points tops. Okay, thankfully these were Sallies, so they didn't have any torpedoes. They didn't hit any of our ships, and it does seem that we damaged one of the Sallies and destroyed one. If we can keep this up for a few turns, we can hopefully
Oh, okay, we saw some supplies being sent to Mandalay. 10 planes transported supplies to Mandalay. That's really good. Because I want to flood supply from India into Burma if we can. Because I want to hold it. I want to make sure we don't lose Burma. If we lose everything else that we're supposed to historically lose, I want to make sure that that is the one that we don't, you know? We can lose the Philippines. We can lose the Dutch East Indies. We can lose Singapore. But I want to make sure Burma holds. And hopefully Palembang too, but there's only so much I can do there. Here comes the ground phase. Another shock attack. Wow. On Hong Kong. That's scary, but they have the forces to get away with this. Let's skip through it there, because there's nothing... Oh no! No!
Today, our High Command announced that the ever-victorious forces of the Japanese Empire have captured Hong Kong.
That woman's voice is a spit in my face. And we're going to be hearing that woman's voice quite a bit. Oh no. Well, this is historical. This is how it's supposed to go. The fact that we held on this long is probably ahistorical. Hopefully we dealt more casualties than is historical. They lost 1,325 casualties. Unfortunately, only 5 of those were destroyed. Combat squads, 2 non-combatant, 1 engineer, and 2 vehicles. We lost everything destroyed. Over 7,000 troops surrendered or were destroyed. They're all gone. That's a lot of victory points. That hurts. But that's how it happened historically, and that's how it happened here. There was no way we could hold this at any point. The shock attack just hit our inexperienced troops. We lost some Canadian troops, I believe an Indian unit. There weren't actually a lot of British troops in this British city of Hong Kong. Oh well, you know, it had to happen eventually. I was just hoping it would have taken a lot longer. Hopefully, you know, it's going to take some supply for them to piece together back these disabled troops. And I guess, you know, we destroyed anything, so that's good. Up here, they're harassing this Chinese corps again, but with a bombardment only still. But their bombardments tend to be better than ours. Looks like nothing really lost on either side. Guam is under attack. A shock attack. They're trying to really get Guam this turn. They probably will. They have an entire infantry regiment there. This base force doesn't stand a chance. Wait, what? Are you telling me that we held this? How the fuck did we hold this? They lost 124 casualties. The only thing of note, really, is 1 non-combatant squad destroyed. We lost only 7 casualties, 1 combatant squad disabled, but all we have is a base force. There's not even a lot of combatant squads here. How did we hold that off when they were doing a shock attack? That's really impressive. Good job, guys. The Lusu War Area HQ's under attack, bombardment attack. I have him in move. I saw this attack coming, but it's not a combat squad, so really, no matter what we lost, I didn't figure there was any point in putting it in combat. It's just support. Literally, all that's in this war area is support. So it can't fight back anyway. The fact that they didn't do more than a bombardment is weird. But maybe the Japanese didn't know what kind of unit it was. I've been trying to retreat it. Unfortunately, that didn't make it retreat. But I guess fortunately, that means it didn't take a lot of damage. This SNLF force is bombarding at Wake, afraid to attack it. I'm thinking we've held this longer than is historical. I feel like they're having some ahistorical problems taking this, which makes me happy. And looks like we're finishing this turn. Alright, bunch of fortifications building up. Manila's up to level 2, which is really nice. See if we can skip through the rest of this. Or my game will start freezing up. This final phase just really fucks with my game. Low garrison at somewhere called Bandoang. And yeah, that's it. Where was that? Bandoang. Apparently that's in the Dutch East Indies. I didn't pay enough attention, and one of these locations actually had a garrison. I am retarded and took everything away from it. Meaning I really need to put something else there. I have forgotten, though, that after I end my turn, now this is a bug, whenever I get to the next turn, my game starts freezing up and slowing down like crazy. So I'll end this here, and I'll do that for next turn. For now, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you're liking how this war goes. I think this was a much better turn for us than the last one. Wasn't quite as even, wasn't quite as neck and neck. And we definitely got some stuff done, so hopefully the next turn will be just as good, guys. See you next time.